The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. This may come as a surprise to you, but I actually agree with that line. Let me explain. Firstly, I'm assuming that in his heart refers to a conclusion in the fool's mind or brain rather than in their chest cavity, and that people of that time didn't properly understand what the brain was. Secondly, by saying there is no God, they are making a knowledge claim, which I'd say is foolish. How so, I hear you ask? Claiming to know something which is not demonstrably true shows us that the person making the claim is actually talking about what they believe, not necessarily what they know. The fact that Christian fundamentalists use this verse so often to describe atheists speaks volumes about their own foolishness. The majority of atheists don't claim to know there is no God, they merely believe that to be the case. After all, the word God has never been clearly defined to the point where believers don't argue, sometimes to the death, about what God's properties are and how he requires us to behave. I've made these points many times before, but they don't seem to register in the mind of the average theist I encounter in the comment section. They continue to ask us how we know there is no God, and then I have to tell them it's not something I know, it's what I believe. And round we go. They somehow think that this verse proves that atheists are fools, simply because it describes a position most atheists don't hold as foolish. Incidentally, Psalm 14 is almost identical to Psalm 53. If you're interested, press pause now and compare the two. If the first line of the psalm read, "The fool has said in his or her heart that they don't believe gods are real," then it would be more in line with modern atheism. If that were the case, then my only argument would be with being called a fool. Both psalms go on to claim that such fools are bad people who do no good whatsoever. This reinforces the conclusion I drew in my last video, in which I speculated that God is simply the concept of goodness rather than a supernatural anthropomorphic being. In other words, those who are not seeking God are incapable of achieving anything other than wickedness. Psalms 14 and 53 reflect the sort of black and white thinking which is so often exhibited by biblical literalists. I submit that the author of those verses, supposedly King David, set up a straw man, which many modern believers have latched onto. I make these videos in the hope that they will help loosen the buckles of the straitjacket of the mind which biblical hyperliteralists seem to be afflicted with. It's interesting that those who watch my videos tend to agree with me. I appreciate the support. But at the same time, I wish that more religious fundamentalists would see them, if only to help them think their doctrine through. I'd like to see more thumbs down and disagreement than I do. Something I've noticed about videos made by believers is that those who allow ratings nearly always have more thumbs down than the average atheist video. It's as if religious people rarely watch videos made by non-believers, but non-believers watch videos made by both sides of the theist-atheist divide. It seems to me that non-believers demonstrate stronger curiosity. I think curiosity is a good thing. If you don't, then please tell me why in the comment section below, or make a video response and post a link to it. I'm genuinely curious about such things. To be clear, I think that the Bible is an interesting historical document, but I don't believe any of its supernatural claims. I've been looking for unambiguous evidence for anything supernatural for as long as I can remember. The fact that I never found anything beyond anecdotal evidence has led me to the conclusion that it's not real. So when I interpret Bible verses such as Psalm 14, I do so through what I perceive to be reality. If you think that I'm doing it wrong, then please help steer me in the right direction.